Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Going live here. Want to talk about all this hype for Seattle, November 3rd, 2019. People in the world are claiming that something so devastating is going to happen in Seattle. And I imagine most of the people making these claims haven't been to Seattle anytime recently. Seattle is a major hub for the big technology companies, and they're investing a whole ton of money in that city to build it up, to renovate it, to make it something that it's never been before. And it's not for the better. But there's a lot to lose for the tech companies, which means there's a lot to lose for the New World Order if, Seattle was wiped out as the fear-mongering is going right now. Now, I do want to point out that we could see a big event in Seattle on the date November 3rd or at any date before the end of this year for the same reason I've been talking about since the beginning of the year. And that is because Seattle is one of the only cities in the world that sums to 19. Off the top of my head, I don't know another major city that sums to 19 in the world. I'm sure there's another good-sized city out there that sums to 19, but 19 is a rare gematria value to have. Seattle sums to 19 in what's considered the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, just like the word chaos sums to 19. And I think if anything crazy happens in Seattle, it will be in the disguise of a natural disaster. Quake equals 19 as well, and for those of you who are living in the Pacific Northwest, you know that, for all of your lifetime, they've told you that a massive earthquake is coming to the Pacific Northwest. Seattle, Portland could be the first cities to experience a 10.0 magnitude earthquake. We've gotten this kind of hype and fear-mongering up here since we were born. I'm 36 years old now, and when I was in kindergarten, they were teaching us about how one of the worst earthquakes is going to hit this region. And there was a bad earthquake here in 2001. I was a senior in high school, did a lot of damage in Seattle, Olympia, but they're saying the one that comes is going to be way worse than that. So anyway, I think if anything bad happens to Seattle this year, it will be in that regard, not, some firebomb or some massive weapon or some attack from another nation that's a catalyst to start World War III. I don't see that being the scenario. Seattle would be a good city to target to start a war because, it's a military port city, but I just don't see that being the ritual right now. And here's something I want to talk about in light of what tomorrow is, just in case this happens tomorrow. In the beginning of the year, tomorrow's October 7th, by the way. If you're on the East Coast, it's already October 7th. I'm on the West Coast, it's 11:20 here, it's 2:20 in New York, October 7th. But Warren Buffett, at the beginning of this year on February 23rd, 223, natural disaster equals 223, predicted that there would be a major natural disaster in the near future, possibly this year, that will cause a huge shift in the global market. And think about what's going on right now. You got Trump playing with tariffs, with the biggest trade partner. You got the Brexit thing. I mean, they've set the stage for economic chaos. And this is what they do all throughout history. They create economic chaos. They put people in a situation where it's hard to put food on the plate. And then they start a war. And then people are willing to join the military because it puts food on the plate for their family. All throughout history, the same pattern. And so, it's very possible. The people who do this, their motto is order out of chaos. Again, 19 equals chaos. Seattle's one of the only cities that sums to 19. The only one I can think of. But Warren Buffett this year predicted there'd be this mega catastrophe. It's coming, he says. It's inevitable. It's near. It could be this year. It could be in the very near future. And recall, we were watching August 11th for natural disasters. The most natural disasters anywhere in the world this year on a single day was August 11th. You had a major forest fire at the site of a volcano that they say if it erupted, it would cause a mega tsunami, which would even mess up the... Anyway, crazy stuff happened August 11th. You had a massive forest fire. You had earthquakes. You had tsunamis. You had massive flooding. Unprecedented rain. Crazy stuff happened August 11th all over the world if you followed the headlines. There hasn't been a single day with more natural disasters than August 11th. That was the 223rd day of the year, 223, just like how Warren Buffett predicted this on February 23rd, 223, right? So there's a reason that this story came out that day. Now, when he was saying, the big one and potentially an earthquake, I was like, okay, what about the date October 7th? Because the big one equals 85. October 7th leaves 85 days left in the year. And earthquake equals 107. Just like how the 1989 World Series earthquake. It came 107 days after Jose Canseco's birthday. His full name equals 107 like earthquake. And he was the last thing shown on TV before it went to fuzz because of the earthquake. It was Jose Canseco on a replay crossing home plate, his number 33 on his jersey. And then the TV goes all fuzz because of the 1989 World Series earthquake at 5:04 p.m. local time. Baseball 54. Just like how in the last video we talked about Jimmy Carter 54 and the ritual with him getting stitches the day the Braves win 3-1 when, you know, stitches equals 31. They come back with 3 runs in the 9th. Jimmy Carter was the 39th president. The Braves playing Cumberland. Cumberland equals 39. I even noticed that the stories for Jimmy Carter today had shown him wearing a Braves hat. It's just like, God, they're putting it in front of people's faces. But anyway, back on point. Tomorrow's 10/7 like 107. Earthquakes 107. Military's 107. Remember the big July 4th earthquake that was on a military base in California? Hello. The epicenter was there. Again, you live in a nation where they detonated bombs below ground and above ground for weather warfare. Why would you detonate atomic and nuclear weapons for 50 years underground? What are you trying to figure out? If you can trigger fault lines? If you can make the ground quake? You know, do they have weapons more sophisticated now than nuclear and atomic? I mean, those ideas were from almost 100 years ago. So where are we at now in 2019? You know what I mean? But the big one, 85-107. Could we see a big earthquake tomorrow? It's possible. Here's what's weird about that. From the day that he put out this prediction to October 7th, 226 days, right? It's a special number in itself. But if you use Jewish gematria, the big one equals 226. And that's the most important cipher outside of the base ciphers. So I'm watching tomorrow. You know, people are looking at November 3rd. I'm just watching tomorrow. And in light of Seattle, which could be the city, I mean, Seattle even equals 107. Seattle's 107 and 44. Earthquake, you know. 107-44. They say Seattle or Portland, Portland's another 44 city, are going to be one of the 2 cities to get rocked by this unprecedented earthquake in the time of high-rise buildings. Seattle has a lot more high-rise buildings than Portland. Portland's a little teeny-tiny city. People from New York would be like, Seattle's a little teeny-tiny city. Okay, but yeah, Seattle's a lot bigger than Portland's the point. New York is 1,000,000 times bigger than both of them. But, yeah, I'm still watching this date tomorrow. So first of all, that's just something to watch for. Could there be a big earthquake tomorrow? Could there be some big natural disaster in light of Warren Buffett's prediction? Okay? So again, coming back to Seattle, what's the most pure cipher is the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. All of these ciphers are important. But Seattle 19 in that same cipher, Chaos 19. The Masonic agenda is order out of chaos. And these videos are saying November 3rd's the date because a Japanese boy band put out a video March 11th, 2018 about let's start World War III, and in the end of the video they're in Seattle. So they're saying March 11th, November 3rd, those dates are mirrors of each other. 113, we know 113 is a special number. Number from the Talmud, Bava Kama 113a, you know. Number of mainstream deception, number of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, very special number 113. Covered very thoroughly in my book. And, you know, for No Less News out there, I gave him a free copy of my book, and he still doesn't know jack shit about 113, but he's still supposedly trying to expose Zionism. Shows you what a fraud that guy is. What's his last name? No Less News. He's not fooling anybody but the biggest sheep around here. Remember, that same tool deleted my video and called Gematria kooky. Now, a year later, he's trying to act like he's up on Gematria and he knows it's real important to the cabal. But he doesn't know jack shit. I mean, if he did, in his video on Seattle, which I saw a part of, he would have shared something about 113. And again, that sorry-ass motherfucker, I gave him my book for free, helped, you know, him feel better about something that had happened to him, and then he goes and talks shit about me? I mean, talk about an ungrateful bitch. That guy harps on about how bad the JEW clan is. He's part of it. And honestly, I've never met a JEW that was worse than him, you know. So, green. Anyway, channels like him, the commentary they're doing on this. I mean, if you watch that idiot No Less News, he said something like, I think the Seattle Seahawks motto is boom, too. It's like, no, moron. It's the Legion of Boom, and the Legion of Boom's not in Seattle anymore. That's from years past. If you want to watch No Less news, you're definitely going to know less. I'll put it to you that way. But this date, November 3rd, 113. Not only is November 3rd 113, I'm going to come back to the mayor here in a moment. November 3rd is the day leaving 58 days left in the year. Okay? November 3rd is the 307th day of the year, leaving 58 days remaining. Both numbers are interesting. 58. First of all, look at the gematria of the mayor of Seattle. 47, like how it sits on the 47th parallel. 137, like government, like authority, like the 33rd prime. You just look at all these elected officials all over the place. You'll see how often these numbers come up. But with regards to leaving 58 days left in the year, November 3rd, secret society in the most pure cipher is 58. Freemasonry is 58. Born out of the Rosicrucian order, Rosicrucian 58. Again, King James, Rosicrucian and Freemason, dropped dead unexpectedly at age 58. And there's a whole lot more to this 58 number. In the second chapter of my book, I give you a long list of 58 and Freemasonry. This number's big and boss to them. You know, connects to many things too. It connects to time and the calendar and astrology. Special number 58. So November 3rd is definitely a significant date. 113 is huge, 58 is huge, 307. Remember what 307 is? It's the 63rd prime. Last year, Tom Brady in his 307th career game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which equals 307, became 6-3 in Super Bowls. 6-3, like 307, the 63rd prime. But 63. Notice terrorism. Wait a minute. Terrorism is 63. Terrorism is 63. So the date has connections for these type of events. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry behind a lot of this stuff. You know, look at 9/11. All sorts of Masonic fingerprints all over it. Big 33 ritual. Whole lot of other things. Remember, don't forget that they opened One World Trade Center on November 3rd, 113. And with regards to September 11th, don't forget that the firm that built the World Trade Centers is from Seattle. Their name is Magnuson Klemenkic Associates. I used to call them and record it. I could never get a call back. I never got a call back from Magnuson Klemenkic Associates. There's some real interesting things about how that firm built the World Trade Centers. Check this out. All of this is true. If you write out Seattle, Washington, can't type. It's 68-94. That was the Seattle Mariners record this year, by the way. 68-94 when they finished the season. 162 game season. Don't forget baseball equals 162. Major League Baseball 162. But you see the 68-94? Both super important. Look at the word terror. Terror is 68-94, right? You might recall that last year, November 10th, 2018, massive fire by Lake Union in Seattle burned into November 11th, 11/11, which would have been like 9/11 on the old Julian calendar. And on that day, there were all these related rituals paying tribute to September 11th, including George W. Bush getting a medal. But I pointed out, I said, it's not an accident that Seattle burned in this ritual that connects to New York and everything. Because I said, again, Seattle is who built the World Trade Centers. Magnuson Klemenkic Associates in Seattle, Washington, 68-94. Terror, 68-94. Remember, World Trade Center construction began in 1968. 911 was made the national emergency dialing code in 1968. George W. Bush graduated from Yale Skull and Bones in 1968. The Jets, that was their only Super Bowl season. The New York Jets, who were named because they were close to the airport where the Jets always flew over. Think about it. Scripted sports, news, rituals. Anyway, 1968, all that went down. And then where's the 94 connect? The World Trade Centers opened on April 4th, 4/4, the 94th day of the year in the year 1973. That was the grand opening on 4/4. And here, let me just look up Magnuson Klemenkic Associates and show you this too. See if I can type it right. Magnuson, there it is. Okay. So let's look at their name in Gematria and realize when I first started looking at this stuff, I didn't know. Well, let me just see what it is in reverse. Huh. It's 168 like New York City. You know what's weird? From the mayor of Seattle's birthday, Jenny Durkin, from her May 19th birthday to November 3rd is 168 days. I was just looking at that. I was like, that is kind of interesting. Usually when they do this stuff, it's synced up with somebody in the city, the mayor, the governor. I'll have to look at how it syncs up with the governor's birthday too. But again, I'm saying this November 3rd thing is possible in Seattle, but it's not going to be, the city's not going to be wiped out. You know, that's not how they roll. That is not how they roll. You know, the worst thing they've done in our lifetime was 9/11. People did get hurt in those office buildings. I'm not sure anyone really got hurt in any planes. I'm not convinced there were really any planes involved in 9/11. You do your research, you might have the same types of thoughts as me. But and just look at all the bullshit too, like supposedly all the celebrities that almost got on planes, from Mark Wahlberg to Seth MacFarlane. I mean, that's just bullshit. But anyway, it's possible something goes down November 3rd. If it does, it's not going to be what the person's saying, beg everyone to get out of Seattle. I'd drive to Seattle just to hang out there on November 3rd if I didn't have to cross the mountains from where I live now. For people who don't know, I don't live in Seattle anymore. I now live in a different part of Washington, a lot more desolate. I have to go over the mountains to get back there, which is hard in the car I have. Usually that time of year, because there's usually snow and nasty weather. And especially the way things are looking this year. Things are getting way colder, way sooner. We had snow in the hills last weekend. Way too early for that. But weather's out of control. That's another thing. But anyway, I mean, if they do something in Seattle, it's not that everyone needs to evacuate the city like the people who made the videos are calling for. That's just unnecessary fear. It's more like just be on guard. If anything goes down in your city, just realize this is how these people roll, ritualistically by the numbers. And that's the other thing about the videos that did all the fear-mongering. They didn't drop any real gematria knowledge. They put in stupid analysis. I mean, a Simpsons cartoon with a 30-yard line in a football game, and he's going, that's not really a 30, that's really a 3 for November 3rd. It's like, no, that's a 30, man, because it's a football field, it's a 30-yard line. Okay? So, his video would be a lot more commonsensical, if you will. I'll make up a word, if he would have explained how Seattle equals 19, and that's why he's so concerned that all these clippings from the last 20-some years are pointing to 2019. But that's also the thing. These videos come from European people every single year saying Seattle's going to get wiped out. That's been going on the whole time I've been in the truth community. Look at this video. And one of those idiots also made a video saying my car crash was a hoax. So, I mean, the people that put out a lot of fear porn, they're just trying to get views off scaring people. I try to give people real knowledge and say, look, don't be fearful. Just realize how these people really operate and how they do things by this code. And it's all about their ongoing agenda, building the surveillance state, taking away the rights and liberties. But, you know, a whole city getting wiped out, a whole football stadium getting wiped out, this stuff's not going to happen, man. There's no reason to put that kind of fear out in the populace because it has a real impact. I'm getting people who are calling me on the Gematria hotline in the day going like, Zach, I'm in Seattle. I'm really freaking out. I think you're blowing this off. It's like, okay, look, if you're that freaked out, then just leave the city for the day. I'm telling you, if you're in your home, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. No one knows the future, but I mean, to get this freaked out, it's just like when I told everybody the date August 11th. I was right about that date. And I told people again and again, if anything's going to happen August 11th, it's going to happen at Temple Mount most likely. Exactly where it went down, as well as Hong Kong and a few other places. But nobody needed to freak out and panic and you know, go hide in the hills for the days. I was having people call me up and say, is that what I need to do? No. You're going to live on. The world's going to go on. But just realize how these people do things ritualistically by really repetitive numbers. November 3rd happens to have those repetitive numbers. Could be a date. Could be Seattle. Could also be somewhere else. You know? So I've just gotten so much hysteria about Seattle in November 3rd, and I don't think it's warranted. You know? There are numbers there. Again, something could go down, but I wouldn't be fearful at all to be in Seattle that day. If I still lived there, I'd make a point. I'd go hang out right by the football stadium all day, talk to the homeless people. So, If we end up reading about an earthquake that day at the 83rd minute of the game, I'll know exactly what happened. Football equals 83, just like baseball equals 54. You got your baseball earthquake at 5:04 p.m. local, the year of the Giants and Oakland World Series, the Bay Area World Series. But no, man. I mean, as I'm looking at the screen, I'm realizing one other thing. Seattle, Washington equals 212. That's the New York area code, isn't it? I forgot to show you what I was going to show you about Magnuson Klemenkic Associates. Okay, so Magnuson Klemenkic Associates. You see how in the most pure cipher it's 102? I got distracted on that 168 New York City. You see how it's 102? Remember how long they said the 9/11 attack lasted? Do you remember? 102 minutes that changed America. You can watch this. This is about how the attack on the World Trade Centers lasted 102 minutes. Is it a coincidence that the construction firm that built it, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates, equals 102? You see how it's also 309? New York's 39, NY's 39, Empire's 39, NYC's 39, New York, NY's 39. Just using these 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards, rules of numerology, So for people who think it's too many, just for anybody who thinks it's too much to use the 4 ciphers, for years I just used the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. It's how I called the Mets in the 111th World Series in spring training. It's how I called them to win Game 3, 3-9, because they were coding 39 all day. Both those things happened, The World Series ended on November 1st that year, 11-1, the 111th World Series. New York got beat by the Kansas City Royals, which equals 212, like the New York area code. But for years, New York 39, NY with the alphabetic order 39, and that's all I knew, right? Oh, besides Empire. Empire's 39, and then I talked about how the United Nations there is 39 floors tall, and how George equals 39, and George Clinton, the first governor, was born in 1739, on the same day New York was established. And, a few years ago now, we learned reverse gematria, and I started to test it to see if there was relevance. And I noticed things like NYC was 39 when you ran it in reverse. I was like, oh, look at that. And if you write out New York, NY, it's 39. I was like, wow. And then I realized the name Clinton was 39 because, again, the first governor was George Clinton. Clinton's 39 with the reverse. George is 39. And I was just like, this isn't an accident. And then I realized that the United Nations has its big meeting there in New York every year in the 39th week of the year. And I noticed, how many things have we documented with 39 in sports over the years? We've gotten some huge upsets in sports by understanding the 39 rituals with the Knicks and teams like that. The Knicks, when they beat teams that they shouldn't, it's usually 39, New York and 39. Today, Kirk Cousins stayed on 39 losses in the regular season by beating New York. Came in with the 39 losses. He stayed on it, you see. So, anyway, I still got to show you this about Magnuson Klemenkic Associates. This cipher right here, there's rules for this cipher. There's numerology rules. So, because it has S's in it, you can add +9 for each S. So Magnuson Klemenkic Associates, when you add +9 for each S, the reason that is because S is the 19th letter. 19's 1 + 9 is 10. 10 is 1 + 0 is 1. So in this cipher, the pure cipher, S is 1. But S can also be 10 because it's the only letter you have to reduce 2 times. So when you make S 10, it's 147. Freemasons 147. Conspiracies 147. Special number. 33 years from 68 to 2001 when the towers came down. So that's something that stands out. Now, it has 1 K in the name, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates. If you use the master numerology of K, K is the 11th letter. 11 does not have to be reduced. It can be 11 or 2. 11 in numerology is 1 + 1 is 2, but because it's 11, it can stay 11. 111, we just talked about how New York's 111. September 11th is the day that leaves 111 days left in the year. The towers came down on the day that left 111 days left in the year in New York. Think about it. And I forget it is when you do the rule with S and K. Oh yeah, when you do it with S and K, it's 156, right? Duh. Why does that matter? Why does 156 matter? Look at this. With the alphabetic order, when you write out 33, it equals 156, right? 156. From 1968, when construction began, 911 made the national emergency dialing code, etc., until they came down. 33 years later, 2001, right? I think Space Odyssey, because Space Odyssey 2001 came out that year. Space Odyssey's 156, right? But check this out. In the Jewish cipher, the most important cipher outside of the base ciphers, if you write out Tisha B'Av, it equals 911, right? Tisha B'Av is 911. Tisha B'Av's to remember the destruction of the two temples. Not too far off from two towers, right? And you had the dancing Israelis. Tisha B'Av that year was synced up. It was 44 days before 9/11. Tisha B'Av is also known as the 9th of Av. In English, 9th of Av equals 44. The towers opened on April 4th, 44 days after the 9th of Av. They come crumbling down. But 911 is the 156th prime number, right? And we just saw how Magnuson Klemenkic Associates is 156. 33 has the relationship. Look at false flag in Jewish gematria. False flag in Jewish gematria is 156. And if you use the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, false flag's 33. Like how it was 33 years from 68 to 2001. You know. By the way, in that Jewish cipher, Al-Qaeda equals 102. 102. 102. Remember? 102 minutes that changed America. Magnuson Klemenkic Associates 102. How much you want to bet Magnuson Klemenkic Associates are in the club? So, anyway, they're from Seattle. Things are coming full circle. Remember, sports is connected to the world of news. And what did you see when the Patriots played the Jets this year? After the Patriots beat the Jets, they were 3-0, and Tom Brady had 911 passing yards on the season. 911 after playing the Jets, who his career began with after 9/11. Drew Bledsoe got hurt. Remember that? Drew Bledsoe got hurt, who went to Washington State. Tom Brady, when he played the Jets this year, there was a brand new quarterback making a start against him, a rookie from Washington State like Drew Bledsoe, who was the 199th pick of the draft like Tom Brady. You had the ritual the night before with Washington State and Gardner Minshew. Washington State's the 100th year of their season. Football season, Washington State, just like it's the 100th NFL season. So anyway. Yeah, something could happen in Seattle on that date. Could also go on anywhere else in the world, and could also be a date with quieter headlines than you expect. I mean, it falls on a Sunday this year. Sunday's not typically the date that they hit you with the big shocking news. They have had some mass shootings on the weekend. And, you know, if anything's going to happen in Seattle, it'd be more in line with something along the lines of that. You know, a mass shooting at a public place. You know, I know that people are saying it's the let's start World War III thing and it has to be something big to start the World War. I get that. But it doesn't have to be in Seattle. It just also would seem a little bit too obvious in my opinion. I mean, they have given us a lot of obvious things, but people are more awake in 2019. If people start looking at like an Asian music video called Let's Start World War III, you know, I don't think that's right. So here, we can look at that music video real quick. Let's do some more research on that. What are they called? World Order. I think the guy who started the group is like a former. So this is the thing that people are talking about right here. This music video, World Order. Let's start World War III. It came out March 11th, 2018. March 11th, 2018 to the date everyone's fretting about is 602 days. That's interesting. That's the Seattle area code in reverse, 206. 206 is the Seattle area code. It's interesting. 86 weeks as well. Well, that makes me think of, that's interesting. Makes me think of what happened on August 6th in history. August 6th is Hiroshima Day. But well, that's the other thing about Washington State. Washington State is where the Manhattan Project began. Hanford. So okay. I watched one of these videos that was like 30 minutes long, and I gotta tell you, they didn't have information in there like that. I look at this in 5 minutes, I already feel like I got something more interesting that actually makes Seattle look more relevant than what they show in their whole video. See? I'm telling you, you gotta apply the gematria lens. You gotta measure from dates. That's where the work's at. I still don't think they're gonna blow up Seattle, though. Again, too much investment there. They're just opening their mass transit. They're finally connecting all the suburbs through mass transit. It's just like, it wouldn't make sense to do that to Seattle now. A city that skyline is 3 times more filled out than it was 10 years ago. All the tech companies. But yeah, maybe they got some shenanigans. You know, the fear-mongering about the football stadium blowing up and stuff. Oh no. But yeah, that is interesting actually that the music video came out 602 days before the date. All right, hold on. World order. World order equals 60 like order, 57 like Scottish Rite, 138 like federal, 132 like United States of America, like England. Let's see. World Order Band Wiki. Let's see. Yeah, they got a Wikipedia page. 7-member Japanese band formed by Genki Sudo. 140 million views. Genki Sudo. It's got a March 8th birthday. How's the date sync up with his birthday? So it came out 3 days after his birthday. 240 days, it would be his 241st day of his age. That's the 53rd prime. 53rd prime. I don't know about that. Let me see the Washington governor real quick. How the day lines up with him, Jay Inslee. Jay Inslee, I don't want your pictures. Let's do it this way. February 9th. $267 days. Philadelphia area code. 38 weeks in 1 day. Let me see. Doesn't know his name or something. J. Robert Inslee, his full name's 92, like how his birthday can be written 9/2. It's interesting. Yeah. See, if you go to the end of this music video, where are they? They're in Pike's Place Market in Seattle. So this is how all the hysteria started. But yeah, I do find it a little bit interesting. Is 602 days. That is the Seattle area code 206. So I would just say again, you know, be aware, be vigilant, but don't live in fear. If I was in Seattle right now, again, I wouldn't be tripping. So I used to live there. I'll tell you what though, when Obama signed the updated the National Defense Act thing saying that the United States of America was an active battleground on the war on terrorism, when they made that change, which is still in effect, that's when I moved out of the city of Seattle and I moved to the suburbs. Moved to Bothell, where I ended up getting harassed by the Bothell police. But I just thought it wasn't a good time to live in cities anymore when they did that. I mean, I think that's advice to. They got more and more people moving to the cities. I think they want more and more people to move to the cities, but we do live in a crazy era. I think it is a good time to live in more rural and less densely populated places, because you never know what these madmen might do. I have said that this isn't the way the New World Order rolls. If they ever did roll this way, it was Hiroshima and also Dresden at the end of World War II. Dresden, they killed at least 100,000 people with napalm, the U.S. and British. They killed, for people who don't know, again, Dresden at the end of the war. Kurt Vonnegut wrote about it. He was a prisoner of war there. He says the worst thing he's ever seen or heard in his life, the murder of the innocents. Dresden at the end of World War II, where all the war refugees were in Germany, were murdered by the United States and British military with napalm, experimental napalm. The people who didn't want anything to do with the war, who stayed out of the war, the whole war, they were murdered by the U.S. and British. Over 100,000 people, napalm dropped on them, destroyed an arts town, where all the people who did not want anything to do with the war were. And why do you think they did that? They're killing the people who are evidence to real history. And they gave you your history books with the new history of what really happened, with no mention of Dresden. So, and I'll tell you what, if anything really bad did happen in Seattle, there's a lot of prudes in that city. There's a lot of people who think they know everything and they don't have anything left to learn. It's almost what 90% of the people are like there. It's a city with some serious problems. The gloomy weather is not good for human psychology, and there really is a lot of know-it-alls in that city. There's a lot of good people there too, but most of the people in Seattle suck, especially the people who were born there. Sorry, just got to be real. I'm from Portland. People are a million times nicer in Portland. It's weird, those cities are only 3 hours apart, but totally different personality types. However, now both cities are full of people who are from all over the world. Portlandia made people want to move to Portland, and Seattle, it's all full of people from all over the world for all the tech jobs. But 20 years ago it wasn't that way, and 20 years ago everyone knew people in Portland cool, people in Seattle not so much. So might be the wrong thing to say, but I don't know if it would be the worst thing for the world if what the doom and gloomers are predicting actually did happen. There'd be a lot less assholes on the planet, I'll tell you that much. A lot less sheep. So, anyway, that's not the right thing to say, but I'll wrap it up here. Don't live in fear because you have this knowledge, and don't let other YouTube channels scare you. It's the same shit every year. Just watch how many of the big YouTube channels produce the Super Bowl fear porn. This is going to be the year that the Super Bowl blows. And that's what's going on with this November 3rd prediction, too. They're saying it's probably going to happen at the football game. The NFL is not going to wipe out. Again, you have to understand what the New World Order wants. They want to mind control the populace. If they make the populace feel like they're not safe to be at sports stadiums, that would really fuck with their agenda. You know what I mean? Sports is like their biggest mind control weapon. So, and again, Sunday's not usually the day shit goes down. What day of the week was August 6, 1945? I'm curious about that. That was Hiroshima. A Monday. News story to set up the news week. That's the way it usually goes down. So, let me check out the chat and then I'll wrap it up here. I wouldn't say, well, oh, my camera froze when I moved it. Somebody says the west side of the state's ruined the great state of Washington. For people who don't know, west of the mountains is the green area. Right of the mountains is where all the conservatives are, and it's desert. Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I mean, I don't know. I find people on both sides of the political aisle to annoy me. Oh, I know how the people are, man. I know how the people are about their sports games. Seattle's embarrassing on a Sunday. You see that almost everyone in Seattle, their wardrobe is 3 Russell Wilson jerseys. Even when it's not game day, it's like you look around, it's like, God, everybody's wearing a Russell Wilson jersey. The outlier has a Sherman jersey on. Sherman doesn't even play for the Seahawks anymore. October 1st was a Sunday. What happened October 1st? Help me out with that. October 1st. Yeah, you guys are welcome. What I'm going to do when the website launches is I'm going to do all my live streams exclusively for the people who pledge $1 a month to the website to help build the Truth Seeker community. So the website will be launching soon, so just a little heads up. $1 a month will get you the live streams like this. So see if we can build a network 50,000 strong and hire an army of truth seekers. Get that truth bus finally in operation. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true that the Vegas thing did go down. And it went on in the early hours of Sunday, right? So it was pretty much more like a Saturday night. But yeah, that was the weekend we had circled in advance, too. That was the way Tisha B'Av fell that year. Or not Tisha B'Av, I mean Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur fell on September 29th, the day leaving 93 days left in the year. And then carried into that weekend. And those are big numbers there. The next step is organizing, and that's what once this website launches, it's about getting people organized, and every day on that website I'm going to put out something that I think we should do as a community. And if we have tens of thousands of people, eventually I want to pound pavement, but before we can pound pavement, I know we can do things with our electronic devices. I'm just imagining if 20,000 people left a tweet on a viral story cluing people all. Because, Twitter, so many people are on Twitter now. Things get, hundreds of thousands of views. If 20,000 comments on some viral thing for that day in the news that people need to know about, if everybody was posting about gematria and how they need to join this movement and educate about this work, I think it might help reach a whole lot more eyeballs. And if we're doing that day after day, year after year, finding the viral story that day and spreading the word. Imagine 20,000 tweets on a viral Twitter story, filling up, the computer screens of the sleeping masses. If they kept seeing it day after day, they'd be like, wait a minute. Oh, was it a Sunday night? Okay. It was. Okay. 101. Mandalay Bay Casino, Casino 101. Again, Yom Kippur is about atonement for your sins, Sin City. So, Assassins 101. So I think it was the Route 91 Harvest Festival on the day leaving 91 days left in the year. But yeah, just the numbers were ripe that year for that, so. I don't know. I'm not good at keeping up with my email. It's even possible that Sam Tripoli's invited me back, and I haven't even seen his email just because I got lucky. I went on there the first time. I miss the majority of my emails, but when their email came through, I happened to be in my email at the time, and I was like, And I knew about Sam Tripoli because my buddy Token Tim, his favorite YouTube personality, Sam Tripoli. So. Yeah, 2019. Well, I mean, there's some big things that have definitely happened in the world this year. It's been a crazy year, so. But yeah, if there's a massive order out of chaos event, it wouldn't surprise. That's why I said November 3rd, it's just like from now until the end of the year, I mean, it could happen at any point, honestly. Of course, some numerical dates stand out more than others, but. Oh, check November 3rd in history. November 3rd in history. Let's see what's gone down on November 3rd. Christopher Columbus discovered the island of Dominica. There's a 113. Hold on. Let me go to something. Well, actually, here. Okay, we can... We could look at older events. I'll go through it slower and just scan. England and France signed military and economic treaties 113. I wonder if that had anything to do with the, Freemasonry connections between those nations. That's a pretty big deal. England and France teaming up economically and with military might. Britain and Spain signed Treaty of Paris. Spain acquires Louisiana. U.S. troops destroying native villages. First Opium War. But a lot of these things are just battles in the war. It's not like the war started that day. Tacoma vigilantes drive out Chinese, burn their homes and businesses. I just want to see if this is Tacoma, Washington. Is this the same Tacoma that... Yeah, this is Tacoma, Washington. Huh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So Tacoma's 30 minutes south of Seattle. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Chevrolet introduces their competition to the Model T. It's funny. Did you know that Henry Ford died on April 7th in 47? He was outspoken against the you-know-whos. Star of David equals 47. First class mail went up to 3 cents per ounce. I wish we could go back to those prices. Talk about inflation. That's when you just see like, whoa. A coup in Brazil. Lou Gehrig with the baseball record. FDR wins his second term in office. Attack on Pearl Harbor fails. Huh, I didn't know about this. Pearl Harbor happened December 7th, so I didn't know about this. So supposedly there was a failed attack on Pearl Harbor on this day. I didn't know about this. I got to see how many days apart that is. November 3rd. $34 days later, huh? Huh. Well, the thing about Tacoma was the most interesting thing I saw. Wait, I see. I got off it. Never mind. There's more here. New Japanese Constitution. Let's see. That's the other thing, too. Seattle's about to get their hockey team. They're not going to wipe out the city before they get their hockey team. Oh, no. Oh, no. Like I said before, if they do anything to Seattle, I suspect it would be an earthquake that would purposefully be designed to knock down the buildings in the Pioneer Square area, which is close to the football stadium just because a lot of land developers want to build high-rises there, but they're protected by the city as historic areas. So a lot of land developers think that's dumb because if those little old brick buildings that are a story and 2 stories were knocked down, they could build plenty more sky rises there, which the city's filled up with. Let's see. You got a lot of information, almost something for every single year. Sandy Koufax, Cy Young. The bloodiest battle of Vietnam began on that day in 1967. Fighting for lies. 67. Richard Nixon promised troop removal from Vietnam on that date. First broadcast of Diff'rent Strokes. Mainstream. Raleigh Fingers playing for the Brewers got the Cy Young. Remember, the Milwaukee Brewers were once the Seattle Pilots. The Milwaukee Brewers were originally from Seattle. Dow Jones dropped that day. Let's see. Bill Clinton elected the president 27 years later. Rage Against the Machine debut album. Greg Maddux was the Tom Brady of baseball. Nobody could hit his very slow pitching. First NBA game at Rose Garden. You know what that means? I was actually at that game. And if you ever went to a Portland Trail Blazers game for their first 2 seasons, at the beginning in the startup video, you know, that they'd play on the big screen in the center of the court for the first 2 years, I was part of that video because my mom cleaned houses for these wealthy people. And they didn't want to go to that game, and they gave her the tickets that day. So my mom and I went to the basketball game. And I got recorded at the souvenir shop because I was all decked out in Oregon stuff. I had an Oregon Ducks jacket on. I had a Portland Winterhawks cap on. That's the local hockey team. What did I have? I had like Oregon Beavers sweats on and a Blazers shirt under it. So I had like all these Oregon sports stuff on, and the camera people recorded me. And for 2 years, when they'd show that thing up on there, I was just a little kid, so it was little me. I was 12 years old, I guess. 12 or 11. I don't know if I turned 12 yet. I guess I would have been 12, yeah. I was 12 years and a couple months old. But for 2 years, I was up there on the big screen as part of the hype video for the Blazers games. Let's see. That's funny. So I was in 1995, November 3rd, long before I knew anything about gematria. Let's see. See recent history on this day. Staples Center debut. The National Basketball Association's 113. Let's see. Syrian rebels. Global action on climate change. The 104-story One World Trade Center opened, of course. We talked about that one. 104. Jerusalem equals 104. What's the Bible verse? Is it Jeremiah? Is it Jeremiah 9:11:9? Is that the Bible verse I want? Yeah, this is right. Jeremiah 11:9. And the Lord said unto me, a conspiracy is found among the men of Judah and among the inhabitants of Jerusalem. So remember, the dancing Israelis in Israel on 119, and then they come with that 104-story tower. Notice Jerusalem's 104. So is British. 7/4/1776, a date with 104 numerology. That's how tall the One World Trade Center is, 1,776 feet tall. But 119, remember the dancing Israelis were in New Jersey. New Jersey's 119. Orthodox is 119. Star of David is 119. You know, don't you think that's weird? And the Lord said unto me, a conspiracy is found among the men of Judah, among the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And then they build that 104-story tall building, you know. Check out Ashkenazi Jews. See the 74 like Jewish? Look at what happens if you use the numerology rules for Ashkenazi Jews. 119. Candy Crush. Let's see. I guess that's the end of the list. Okay. There was a bad car accident in China. Okay. Yeah, again, I want to put my opinion out there that, you know, I wouldn't lose any sleep over November 3rd. It is possible something goes down, but again, the New World Order is active. They're always creating chaos in the world. I do suspect they do something big before the end of the year. It doesn't necessarily have to be November 3rd. Seattle wouldn't surprise me because it has the 19 gematria like chaos. It's just, I hate that the viral video is saying like everybody's going to be turned to dust like in Terminator. No, they're not wiping out Seattle. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if there was an earthquake, and not on that day, but just at some point in the near future that really messes up Pioneer Square and knocks down those old brick buildings because there's a lot of developers that want to build sky rises there. That's the thing I see happening to Seattle, because those old buildings won't stand up to a powerful earthquake, but the new buildings will, because they're built to withstand them. So that's what I think. And again, October 7th. It's now October 7th. I'm just wondering if we might see some sort of natural disaster at some point today in the headlines because of the Warren Buffett prediction. So I'll watch for that first. But yeah, the most interesting thing about this video is how it came 602 days before November 3rd, 2019. 602 is 206 in reverse. 206 is the Seattle area code. So all right, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. It's late. And appreciate... Oh, somebody gave me a super chat. I don't know. Wait, pop out chat? What happened to... Huh. Well, thank you for the super chat. I didn't see it when you did it, but I appreciate it. Nick writes that speaking English is actually speaking Hebrew, but alphanumerically, but backwards. I don't know if that's true or not. That's an interesting thought, though. There's a lot of overlap between the numerical values in the two alphabets. So, all right, you guys, gonna wrap it up. Be back tomorrow. Have a good rest of your evening, your day, depending on where you are. Till next time.